We're very excited to welcome to the stage Sara Luterman. Hi everyone, I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to be citing a bunch of really boring research during this talk. If you are interested in a list of studies that I cited during the next 15 minutes, please let me know during intermission or after the show. I'm happy to share. I also want to give a quick warning. I will be touching on suicide as a subject. If you need to leave, I won't be offended. Taking care of yourself is the most important thing. So for the past few decades, autism research has focused very heavily on biomedical questions. What causes autism? Is there a cure? Millions and millions of dollars every year are spent to discover whether Tylenol, whether your grandmother smoked, canned soup cause autism. In contrast, the US government only spends 1% of autism research funding on lifespan issues. Lifespan issues is a term that's supposed to encompass every issue affecting autistic people's lives after childhood. And I mean everything. Questions like where we'll live, what we'll do all day for the rest of our lives, and who will help us when our parents are gone for the 60-odd years after we turn 18 are all crammed into that 1% of funding. A lot of significant studies about autism and employment have been published in the past few years, which is heartening. There's still a lot we don't know, but here are some fast facts. Unemployment is high in the autistic community. By some estimates, 85% of autistic adults with college degrees are unemployed. In comparison, for the general population, a little less than 2.5% of college grads are unemployed. It's difficult to find information about autism employment specific to women. For example, one major study tracked 169 adults over the course of 10 years, which is really important research. Unfortunately, only 9 women completed the study, and of those women, none managed to maintain employment with any consistency, if they had any at all. In comparison, about half of autistic men in the study had kept their jobs during that time period, but it's hard to draw any kind of real conclusion from just 9 women. Other studies, unfortunately, also seem to indicate that autistic women have a higher unemployment rate than autistic men. So at minimum, it doesn't look good for people like us. There are a few different hypotheses as to why autistic women seem to struggle so much more than autistic men when it comes to employment. One suggestion is that autistic women have a higher rate of mental illness than autistic men. I'm a little bit skeptical. There isn't very much research to suggest that this is the case. I think that the higher rates of unemployment autistic women face have a different cause, though. Like all women, we are simply given fewer chances and looked upon more unfavorably by employers. Many of us struggle with the complex rules of appropriate womanhood. For example, I once wore a cocktail party dress to a job interview. I thought I was supposed to dress nice. I didn't realize there was a substantive difference between that and a suit. And don't even get me started about the minefield that is business casual. Many autistic women struggle with performing femininity in inappropriate and acceptable ways. And in our society, women who don't fit a specific mold face social rejection. And this is especially true in the workplace. One of the reasons there's so little research about autistic women in unemployment beyond the limited funding is that boys are much more likely to receive autism diagnoses at all. As a result, boys are overrepresented in basically all autism studies. Some people believe that this is the result of a female protective factor, some part of our genetic makeup that insulates us from loving trains too much. Personally, I think that the truth is that many autistic women without intellectual disability simply aren't identified. It isn't just that our autism looks different. It isn't just that some of us are better at aping social graces. It's that we're not seen. There's a sort of lost generation of women in our 20s and 30s that I'm a part of. Most of us aren't diagnosed until years after our male peers still, if we are diagnosed at all. After all, in the 1990s, common opinion was that autism was vanishingly rare in girls. We spent our lives believing that we are strange, singular monsters hatched alone in the dark, or at least that was my experience. My autism diagnosis was actually largely the result of my inability to get and keep a job. I reached a point in my life where the demands of adulthood outpaced my ability to cope, so my parents took me to a psychiatrist. I can only describe my transition to adulthood as a spectacular belly flop. I'd always done well academically. I'd gone to one of the best colleges in the country. I went on to do a graduate degree at a solid state school. Then I started sending out job applications. I often made it past the first round. I can write a decent cover letter, but interview after interview after interview and meeting face to face, I never got the job. And after a brief, disastrous stint moving back home with my parents, who were not pleased, I spent months couch surfing in New York and DC, hoping to catch my break. Finally, I landed an entry-level editorial assistant job at a medical journal in DC. My parents were elated. I was relieved. I could do it. I moved into a house with some other young professionals and a couple of cats. I was finally normal. I got fired after 2 weeks for being a bad cultural fit. To this day, I have no idea what that means. I probably said or did something socially inappropriate without realizing it, but I'll never know for sure. I thought my life was over. I tried to kill myself. Obviously, that didn't work. But many autistic people aren't so lucky. Suicide is actually the biggest killer of autistic adults without intellectual disability after heart disease. So since then, I've had a number of jobs with mixed results. The most important thing I've needed to do a good job are the ability to telecommute and a patient supervisor who's not afraid to experiment. Now I'm trying to work for myself, and if I fail, that's okay. I'll be okay. I've failed before. And I think that's really the most important thing that I learned from all of this, and that I really hope that other people learn, is that even if the deck's stacked against you, and even if everything looks like it's over, you can get up and try again. And it's true that some people have an easier time of doing that because they're not disabled or because they don't deal with those particular issues, but it's never actually over. So, thank you.